Good morning, and welcome to Solar Canada 2012. Bienvenue à Solar Canada 2012. L'événement prend cette année un air de fête, car nous célébrons le 20e anniversaire de CanSIA. This is a special edition of Solar Canada. It's CanSIA's 20th anniversary, and it's terrific to see so many of you here today. Quel plaisir de nous trouver aussi nombreux ici aujourd'hui. Thanks to all of you, we are the largest energy trade show in Canada. Now, Now, there's more good news. There's no longer a question of whether solar energy is going to be the dominant clean energy source on the planet. It's a question of where, when, and how. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your support. And I want to thank all of the sponsors who are the real hosts of this special event. You can see that we tried to squeeze the sponsors onto one slide. I want to tell you a little something about this. I think that I probably spoke to every one of those sponsors. And it was before the directive came out. It was in the midst of continuing delays here in the Ontario FIT market, and in the context of the global economic situation that we find ourselves in. And despite that, the response that we received from you, our members, has been tremendous, and I want to thank you for that. And I want to give a special word of thanks to Hanwha Solar Canada, who is our presenting sponsor today and who stepped up early and who stepped up definitively with support to make this event come together. Doug Urban. Doug, you and your team, thank you so much. I trust you enjoyed that excerpt from CanSIA's 20th anniversary retrospective video. The extended version is going to be played at lunch today, and it's going to be on our website. The video provides all of us with an opportunity to reflect on the remarkable growth and maturation of our industry. It's been made possible by the determined pioneers who committed themselves to establishing the solar thermal and the solar PV industries in Canada. It gives additional meaning to the hard work that you, our members, put into building on this foundation each and every day. I've been reflecting on the nature of trade associations. They grow and they develop along with their industry. CanSIA is a reflection of you. I want you to know that CanSIA is with you every day. We're working hard for you every day. We're committed to developing the market for you in an aggressive and responsible way. You know, I became involved in the energy sector through sitting on the board of Hydro Ottawa following the 1998 changes to the Electricity Act. That's the one that caused most of the utilities in this province to become business corporations rather than municipal departments. We merged 5 Ottawa area utilities into one called Hydro Ottawa and created an unregulated green energy developer and power producing corporation called Energy Ottawa. After that, I had the renewable energy bug, or whatever it is that seems to afflict all of us in this auditorium today. I promptly signed up to be the Ontario anchor of a Canadian PV startup. It was founded by an entrepreneur in BC. It was funded by an oil man in Alberta. It was driven by the business in the Ontario market, and it was the amalgamation of a German manufacturing company with a Quebec boutique firm. Ontario was then, and it is now, a promising but tough market. Trying to develop projects under a new and evolving program is tough. Raising financing when lending institutions don't understand the solar proposition is tough. Promising results when the program goes through delays and the projects butt up against technical issues and reticent LDCs is tough. Does that sound familiar? I've been there. Yeah, I got the t-shirt. We sold that company, by the way, in 2011, and in March, I was privileged to become the president here of CanSIA, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's easy to get so caught up in the drama of being part of a new and growing industry that sometimes we lose perspective. That's what anniversaries and videos, that's where they come in. We have made remarkable growth as an industry here in Canada and as an industry around the world. We're positioned to compete in that explosive global energy market. Now, according to the International Energy Agency's World Outlook 2012 report, which just came out in November of this year. Can we go to the slide before this one, please? I'm going to quote from that report. Solar grows more rapidly than any other renewable technology. Renewables become the world's second largest source of generation by 2015, roughly half that of coal. And by 2035, they approach coal as the primary source of global electricity. Are you excited about that? I am. Now, there are questions that we have to answer today. Where will Canada be in that mix? Will we take advantage of the early momentum we have here in Ontario to position our nation to become a leader in the energy economy? Will we seize upon the expertise to secure our place as a global player in the solar energy market? Canada is at a tipping point. We will take advantage of all that's been accomplished. Will we take advantage of it? Or will it evaporate in indecision and political uncertainty? We have accomplished a great deal here in Canada in just the last few years. Solar energy is Canada's largest proven energy resource. It's abundant in each and every Canadian community. The development of solar energy technology enjoys more public support and creates more local jobs and economic activity than any other resource. We all know that there's been challenges along the way, and we've taken our lumps, haven't we? But despite the setbacks, we're making groundbreaking progress here in Ontario and in Canada. And we are contributing to the establishment of solar energy as an essential and significant component of the global energy mix. The public and private investments in our sector are on the cusp of generating rewards, big rewards. The problem is that most Canadians who aren't in this hall right now don't know about that. 93% of Canadians support solar, but they need a reason to believe that their investment is going to pay off. We need to get the facts out there, and we need to get them into the public. And we need to walk the talk. We need to encourage the collective cooperation through our own industry. I see a future where solar is on 1 in 5 of every urban rooftop. To get there, we need LDCs on the solar train and not being dragged behind it. The day we get the LDCs on board is the day we can feel confident in Canada's solar future. We've had 3 years to solve the interconnection issues. Other jurisdictions have solved these issues. Look to California. Look to Germany. On May 26th of this year, Germany produced more than 50% of its electricity needs from renewable energy. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are many proactive utilities out there, but there are others that are not moving quickly enough, and that's a problem. It's a shared problem that we have to solve together. Another problem is the growing amount of misinformation out there. It's being spread by a small number of short-sighted politicians and by competing industries that see the writing on the wall. Make no mistake about it. Renewable energy and increasingly solar energy is under attack. Our political leaders here in Ontario deserve credit for introducing and standing by their commitment to solar PV. Their vision and commitment has created one of the largest global solar markets. The Ontario Power Authority deserves our respect. It's trying hard to support the responsible development of the solar PV industry. And it's often easy to forget that the OPA is in this with us. It's been suffering from the same growing pains as us on the industry side. Solar energy is increasingly targeted by traditional energy sources, and we have to get our facts ready to stand up for solar. Earlier this month, the nuclear industry in Ontario placed solar and wind directly in its sites. They're positioning themselves against us in terms of both cost and GHG emissions. Now, the nuclear industry is right to feel concerned about its future. But the nuclear industry is misrepresenting the facts, and the facts are on our side. Here's a fact. This one is from the European Photovoltaic Industry Association. This looks back 10 years. Over the last 10 years, net new generation added among the EU countries of solar PV was 51 gigawatts, compared to minus 14 gigawatts for nuclear. Last year, for the first time in history, solar PV was the #1 electricity source in Europe in terms of added installed capacity, with 22 gigawatts connected to the grid. Nuclear lost the most of any technology, with 6 gigawatts being decommissioned in 2011 alone. The sun is rising on the renewables industries, and the nuclear attack on solar is just beginning. We need to be prepared to combat misinformation in the industry. We need to set the record straight, and we will respond with facts. We need to tell our story. This is a crucial time for renewables, especially in Ontario as an election is in the offing. But this situation has also given clarity to the next few months, and we know that as an industry, we have to be prepared to play in the political dialogue. Combating misinformation will be key, but getting the positive message out there about solar will be essential. So, we've worked hard to get here, and there's more hard work to do. It's no longer a question of whether solar is going to become the most significant source of energy on the planet, but a question of where, when, and how. We have to make this transition happen responsibly and quickly. So what is CanSIA doing about that? We're opening new markets with an equal emphasis on solar thermal and solar PV. On November 1st, we had the largest Solar Canada Western trade show and conference in our history. Over 400 people attending, including the Minister of the Environment and numerous MLAs. In Eastern Canada, we formed our first Eastern Caucus, driven mostly by solar thermal members, but now with the addition of solar PV members because Nova Scotia is considering bringing in PV into their COMFIT program. Nationally, we've introduced a program that is working on the codes and standards that are going to facilitate the adoption of solar PV and solar thermal across the country. We're advancing renewables through collaboration. I'm pleased to announce today that we have just entered into a memorandum of understanding with Reed Exhibits, the largest trade show and exhibit operator in the world, to bring All Energy Canada to Toronto next year. We're moving the bar ahead for all renewables. We're managing the policy and procurement mechanisms that drive down the cost of business and lead to greater stability. Through our working groups, through our government relations efforts, this last push that we had on land use working group, the land use restrictions, is an example of how industry and government should collaborate to make better rules. You've seen the results of those discussions from the first draft of the rules through to what we see in the directive today. It's opening the door to the continued construction of PV projects on the ground. We're engendering responsible growth. Later in the conference, you're going to see that we're introducing a proposed model that sees the NABCEP engine driving the training and certification for our installers, PV and ST here in Canada, with a Canadianized module on top. We've introduced the Game Changer Awards, which are happening this evening, to take an opportunity in a formal way to recognize excellence in this industry. We're addressing technical and regulatory challenge to move us to a smarter grid, higher penetration uptake. We're participating on 12 different committees through various industry stakeholders. We're working on an interconnection plan. The terms of reference have just been released, and we're calling for the establishment of an inter-industry working group that's going to include the local distribution companies to solve some of these technical and interconnection issues we have. We're building a facts-based case for solar in Canada that defines its benefits and places solar in the overall context of system needs. We're doing that through the creation of an innovation roadmap, a white paper on innovation in the solar electricity sector. We're convening a summit next year that will bring together some of the world-leading experts to put together a solar plan for Canada. We're building public and government support for solar energy and justifying the investment in the eyes of the public. Now, I want to take a moment here to talk about something that we're very pleased about here at CanSIA when we talk about spreading the word to the public and to government about the story for solar. And that is the creation of a youth council of emerging leaders, which is convening here today, 40 of them, over these 2 days, to receive briefings from politicians, from industry, from government regulatory bodies, to come up with their own vision, their own mandate, their own action plan as to how they're going to communicate the importance of solar in the future energy mix here in Ontario and across Canada in the coming months and years. May I ask the Youth Council members who are here in the audience just to stand up for a minute, please? I'd just like to thank you. Thank you. I just want to applaud the initiative of these remarkable individuals. And those are just some of the things that CanSIA is doing on the industry's behalf. Now, what can we as individuals do to get us over the tipping point? To ensure that the transition to a solar future happens responsibly and quickly. First, support CanSIA. You knew that was coming, right? Support CanSIA. If you're not a member, join us. If you're not a volunteer, join a caucus, join a working group, join a committee, and bring us your insight and expertise. Our members' participation is the lifeblood of CanSIA. If you're not a sponsor of CanSIA, choose one of these initiatives that you feel is particularly worthwhile and support it. CanSIA is your not-for-profit organization, and we have a lot of work to do. Lastly, and most importantly, we must all take a long-term view in our business planning. Public support for solar is high. We must nurture and protect it, always, but especially at this critical time. We have to resist opportunism. The solar industry in the US is learning this lesson the hard way. Here in Ontario, the actions of players that abuse the intent of the program have inevitably resulted in government responding with more prescriptive rules, accompanied by incremental delays that slow down this industry. We have been given an opportunity to shine as a sector here in Ontario. We cannot afford a misstep. I have the privilege of interacting with the stakeholders in this industry every day, on caucus and working group calls, at conferences like this, through email, through board meetings with our dedicated board members, every day with our terrific staff. When it comes right down to it, this is bigger than all of us. I see the future on the faces of my two children. They're 13 and 11. They are too young to understand the economics and the politics of business, but they already understand the significance of the solar panels on our roof at home. They understand the need for energy, and they understand that energy can come from the sun to power our home and our neighbors' homes. They understand the concept that creating energy through non-renewable energy sources creates pollution, uses resources that can't be replaced, and ultimately hurts the planet. They understand this. Their generation, the next generation, won't have our entrenched way of thinking about energy use and energy production. They won't care about entrenched energy infrastructure. They'll recognize that solar PV and solar thermal can be installed almost anywhere, incorporated into almost everything around us. They certainly won't understand it if our politicians wipe out the momentum, if they wipe out the investment and the industry that has been created here at this pivotal point. And they won't forgive us if we don't continue to push this industry forward. That's why now is the time to stand up for solar. CanSIA has created the framework for channeling your voice to Canadians, to Ontarians, and to political decision makers. Use that infrastructure. Make your voice count. We need to stand up for solar and communicate the facts. We need to stand up for solar and tell our story. We need to stand up for solar and bolster the political will to do what is right for this country and for this planet. We need to stand up for solar now because the stakes are higher now than they have ever been. There's more work to do. There's more work ahead, but we will persevere. We will be successful. Thank you for coming here this morning. Thank you for supporting CanSIA. Now, let's take these next 2 days and get ready for the solar energy future. Thank you. Thank you.